Okay, today we're going to talk about converting between degrees and radians. And if you look in different books, there are several ways to do this. They're all basically the same, but they're just different little takes on it. So how are degrees and radians related? Well, they're all just a way of measuring angles and on a circle. So the easiest way is just to set, in my opinion, is just to set up a proportion. Now, the easier way is to use this proportion. Degrees over 180 equals radians over pi. But some people find that remembering this is easier because they know that a whole circle is 360 and they know that a whole circle is 2 pi. So if that one's easier for you to remember, then that's great. But this one is just going to allow you to have smaller numbers because you don't have to multiply by the 2 and you don't have the 360 involved. So I would recommend using this one, but if you can remember that one easier because you know what a whole circle equals, then go for it. Okay, and again, the reason we could set this proportion up is because 180 degrees and pi radians is the same amount. All right, so let's do an example. If we want to convert 135 degrees to radians, well, first let's think about this. If we look back to what we did in class, then 135 degrees, here's 90, here's 180. So 135 degrees is going to be up here somewhere. So we go counterclockwise, there's 135 degrees, not quite to 180. We also know that this is 1 pi, so we know that this should be a fraction smaller than 1. So when we're looking at our answer, we should be able to kind of tell if we're on track or not. Okay, so if we want to convert 135 to radians, we're going to put degrees over 180 equals radians, which we don't know. We can call that R, we can call it X, we can call it whatever you want, over 1 pi. And then we can just cross multiply. So we have 135 pi equals 180R, divide by 180. So we have 135 pi over 180. Here's the hard part. You have to reduce. So we just need to reduce this thing. So these are both divisible by 5. I know that for sure. So let's just go ahead and do that. So 5 goes into 13 2 times with 3 left over. 5 goes into 35 7 times. 5 into 180. 5 into 18 is 3 with 3 left over. 5 into 30 is 6. So this is 27 pi over 36, which hopefully you realize both divide by 9. So you get 3 pi over 4. Could you do this in your calculator? Yes, but if you don't have your calculator, then you need to be able to reduce this on your own. So how would you do it in the calculator? Don't type the pi in. Just type in 135 over 180 and then do your math, enter to get it back into fraction form, and it'll reduce it for you. Okay, then an example to go the other way. So 5 pi over 12. So 5 over 12, that's less than a half because 6 over 12 would be 1/2. So if we think about our circle again, here's 1 pi. Where's 1/2 pi? Well, it's here, right? Because that's halfway between there and there. So 5 pi over 12 is a little bit less than a half. So that should be up here somewhere. Well, this is 0, this is 90. So that means this answer's got to be between 0 and 90. If we don't get between 0 and 90, we've messed up. All right, so 5 pi over 12 over my radians, which is just 1 pi, equals degrees over 180. And then we're going to cross multiply. So we have 180 times 5 pi over 12 equals pi times d. All right, so again, here's the hard part. We have to do the math. So I don't know. I do this differently than you guys do it, but that's all right. So I'm going to divide this guy by 12. That's 15. So we have 15 times 5, which is 75 pi, equals pi d. Divide both sides by pi so that I can get my degrees. My degrees equals 75, which if we think back up to here, that's what we expected it to be, almost to 90, almost to 1/2 pi. So 5 pi over 12 radians is 75 in degrees. And again, could we do this on the calculator? Yes. How would we do it? 180 times 5 divided by 12. Don't multiply that pi in, it just makes your numbers ugly for no reason. Okay, here's the really hard one. If we want to convert 5 radians to degrees, well, what the heck does 5 radians mean? Well, we're used to having a pi behind our radians, but there's no pi there. Well, what does that mean? That means that that pi has already been multiplied in there. So that means something times pi has given us 5. So what, and remember pi is a little bit more than 3, right? So something times pi equals 5. Well, obviously it's a little bit less than 2 because 2 times 3 would be 5. So what times pi equals 5 is going to be a little bit less than 2. Plus, if you think about it, what would 2 times pi be? It would be 6.28. So our answer should be somewhere down in here. All right, so let's do the math here. So right now we're in radians. So we have 5 over pi equals degrees over 180. Then we cross multiply. So 5 times 180 is 900 equals pi d. Then we divide by pi. Divide by pi. Now this time I definitely would use a calculator because we don't want to leave that as 900 over pi. So we're going to go ahead and divide that in our calculator. 900 divided by pi, and you're not little kids anymore. We do not use 3.14. We use our pi button. All right, so we get 286.48 degrees. Does that make sense? Sure, because we thought it was going to be almost a 360, but not quite. So 286.48. Okay, 3 problems for you to try, and I've given you the answers so that you can check yourself when you're finished. Good luck.